If you've been building in UEFN for any length of time, you know the exact feeling.
Oh, absolutely.
You pour like months of your life into the Grover's code, the custom assets, the lighting, the entire core gameplay loop.
Right.
And then you hit publish. And historically, I mean, it has felt a bit like tossing a beautifully crafted message in a bottle straight into a Category 5 hurricane.
Yeah, that's a very accurate way to describe it.
Well, the good news is the hurricane is over.
Yeah.
Epic Games has completely gutted the UEFN Discover system for 2026.
They really have.
And the era of fast trend copying and metadata hacking, it is officially dead.
Yeah, we are looking at a fundamental rewrite of the ecosystem's physics here.
So true.
Looking through Epic's official big changes for Discover announcement, plus the new developer guidelines, the system is no longer simply an open feed.
Right. It's not just a free-for-all anymore.
Exactly. They have built an incredibly aggressive filtering mechanism, and it's basically designed to punish imitation and mathematically reward actual, genuine player retention.
Which means we need to talk about what this looks like for you, the developer tuning in from the creative block. Your entire approach to island visibility has to change, like today. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Let's look at the most aggressive piece of this overhaul first. The active downranking of low-effort duplicates. I'm calling it the purge of the clones.
The purge of the clones, I like that. But yeah, the platform is actively targeting games that rely on structural similarities to existing hits.
Right.
In the past, if a specific red versus blue arena or a tycoon game spiked in popularity, you would see, literally hundreds of variations flood the Discover tab within, 48 hours?
Oh, easily. Sometimes overnight.
Exactly. But the new algorithm is designed to detect those rapid iterations.
Is actively hunting them down.
It is. It's analyzing copycat game modes, re-uploaded concepts, and heavily penalizing any experience relying on keyword stuffed titles.
Okay, let me pause you there because I want to make sure I understand the mechanics of this detection.
Sure.
If I just change the lighting in a heavily cloned template and say, swap out a few weapon spawners, am I bypassing the filter?
Not anymore, no. The system goes much deeper than surface-level aesthetics now.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Epic is evaluating the underlying metadata, the tags, the historical performance of similar foundational assets, and most importantly, they're looking at the actual player behavior inside the map.
Okay.
If the system flags an island as highly similar to a previously published, established game, its visibility in the organic Discover rows is drastically suppressed.
Man. To put it in perspective for you, the old Discover environment often felt like navigating a shady digital flea market.
Oh, definitely.
You walk in, and 20 different vendors are shouting at you. And they're all holding up the exact same counterfeit watch, trying to grab your attention with stolen, mismatched thumbnail art.
Take your flea market analogy a step further, actually.
Okay.
Epic isn't just kicking out the bad vendors. They are redesigning the entire floor plan of the market so those counterfeiters can't even get a stall.
That's massive.
It is. They've implemented much stricter originality checks for promotional assets, too.
So no more stealing thumbnails.
Exactly. You cannot scrape a popular creator's thumbnail, tweak the hue, and submit it. The system cross-references promotional assets to protect the original branding of the initial creator.
So, on the surface, hearing the platform talk about aggressive downranking sounds terrifying for a developer.
It does sound intimidating.
But if you're the artisan watchmaker who actually spent 6 months handcrafting an original tactical shooter, clearing out the counterfeiters suddenly means you get legitimate foot traffic.
Exactly. It protects the massive investment you are making in quality presentation.
Right.
In the previous iteration of the platform, the speed of imitation severely devalued original thought.
So true. You could spend half a year on a custom UEFN map with a completely bespoke narrative.
Only to watch someone siphon away your potential audience in 6 hours with a clickbait thumbnail and a cloned map.
It was incredibly frustrating.
Very. But by filtering out the noise, the system creates this protective moat around creative innovation.
Which brings us to a massive shift in how that floor plan is actually laid out. Because now that the clones are being cleared out, Epic is reorganizing the storefront itself to fix how players search.
Yes.
And they are doing this by enforcing a strict single-genre rule.
This is a major structural change to the user interface.
It's huge.
Creators are now required to select one single genre for their island. That singular choice dictates where the experience can appear as the Discover rows rotate dynamically.
But wait, a lot of the most incredible UEFN maps are massive mashups.
They are, yeah.
What if I build an experience that's part high-speed racing, part prop hunt, and, part role-playing game? Forcing a developer to pick just one single category feels incredibly restrictive.
I get that.
Aren't we putting all that wild Fortnite creativity into a straitjacket?
It feels limiting until you analyze the data behind search intent.
Okay, lay it on me.
When developers had the freedom to select multiple tags or genres, they naturally utilized the shotgun approach.
Right.
They tagged their game as racing, horror, puzzle, and party game, basically hoping to catch any player wandering through those categories.
And cast the widest net possible, right?
Yeah.
Because more tags just equaled more surface area in the search result.
Exactly. But look at the mathematical consequence of that behavior.
Okay.
If a player clicks on the horror row because they want a terrifying, slow-paced survival experience,
Yeah.
and they are served your chaotic, neon-colored racing game simply because you checked a secondary tag, what does that player do?
Oh, I see. They realize it's not a horror game, and they back out to the lobby immediately.
Which generates a bounce rate of nearly 100% for your game in that specific category.
Wow. Yeah, that's terrible for the metrics.
When players constantly encounter irrelevant game placement, their trust in the Discover system degrades. They just stop clicking on new things entirely. By forcing a single genre, Epic is preserving the integrity of the search intent. When a player clicks into a category, they find exactly what they are looking for, which dramatically improves the overall health of the platform's recommendation engine.
Okay, I see the mechanism now. It's not about punishing the developer. It's about protecting the player's trust in the menu.
Precisely.
But if I only get one genre, I'm losing all that potential traffic from the other tabs.
You are losing unqualified traffic.
Right.
And unqualified traffic actively harms your metrics under the new system. We can connect this directly to another major interface update.
The new Discover rows.
Yes. Highly used sections like recently played and popular experiences have been elevated. They are now moved much higher up within the interface hierarchy.
So the very first thing a player sees when they log in isn't a random assortment of new games. It's the game they were playing yesterday.
Exactly. The UI placement is a clear signal. Returning players and engagement retention are now the most critical metrics for visibility. The platform is completely prioritizing daily habits.
That requires a total mindset shift.
It really does.
If recently played is the prime real estate, I don't just need a player to click my thumbnail once. I need to design a gameplay loop that gives them a reason to come back tomorrow.
Yes.
And since organic placement now requires this hyper-specific categorization and high retention, developers who want to scale quickly, like maybe a mid-sized studio that just launched a major project, they're naturally going to turn to paid promotion.
They have to. They need that initial burst of players to build a community.
Which leads us directly into a crucial piece of the 2026 puzzle, user acquisition, and Epic's massive crackdown on sponsored row fraud.
This is such a vital update.
Let's define user acquisition really quickly for the solo developers tuning in who might not be running a full studio.
Sure.
We're talking about running paid ads, like spending actual marketing budget to buy placement in the sponsored row, right?
Right. You are paying to place your island in front of guaranteed eyeballs. But to ensure developers actually use this tool confidently, Epic has introduced a suite of new fraud prevention mechanisms.
Because it used to be pretty wild.
Very wild. The most significant change is the implementation of incremental billing systems alongside really rigorous campaign verification.
Incremental billing.
Yeah.
Meaning they just charge my studio's credit card differently.
Essentially, yes.
How does that actually stop someone from cheating the ad system?
It's all about catching bad actors before the damage is done. In the past, if a studio set a $500 budget for the day, a competitor could theoretically use a bot farm to generate thousands of fraudulent clicks on your ad.
Oh, wow.
Your budget would drain entirely in an hour, your cost per click would skyrocket, and you'd acquire zero real players. You were essentially being robbed by inauthentic activity.
So a studio would just stop buying ads because the ecosystem was too toxic.
Precisely, it wasn't safe. By moving to an incremental billing system, the platform charges the campaign in tiny micro-batches, $5 here, $10 there.
Go smart.
Between every microtransaction, the fraud detection system analyzes the behavior of the accounts that clicked the ad.
Wait, so if it sees bots...
If it detects bot patterns or inorganic click-through rates, it immediately halts the campaign. It removes the inauthentic activity and prevents the rest of your budget from being drained.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's basically like Epic installing a high-tech security system at the VIP entrance to discover to make sure no one is sneaking in with a fake ID.
That is a great analogy. They're aggressively protecting the developer's return on investment.
Which is huge.
A trustworthy sponsored row inventory is just the lifeblood of a maturing developable ecosystem. If you are going to spend capital to scale your audience, you need mathematical certainty that you are paying for actual humans who might actually play your game.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
Let's hear it.
We know the organic search can't be cheated with keyword stuffing anymore.
Right.
We know the paid lane is strictly verified and monitors for fraud. So if you can't hack the metadata, and you can't cheat the ad auction, how do you actually win the algorithm in 2026?
You feed the recommendation engine the only diet it cares about.
Which is?
Deep, personalized player satisfaction. Personalization is the foundational concept of this entire overhaul.
Okay.
Discover is no longer a static billboard. It is a highly personalized feed. The systems are placing unprecedented weight on session retention, play history, and complex engagement signals.
I want to dig into those engagement signals. The algorithm is essentially trying to measure fun.
Basically, yeah.
But fun is such a subjective emotional state. What does fun actually look like in the cold, hard data of a server?
Think of it this way. The old algorithm was essentially a bouncer at a nightclub.
Okay.
It just stood at the door and counted how many people walked in. It just measured clicks.
Right.
The new algorithm is a bartender. It tracks how many people stayed, how long they sat at the table, and whether they ordered a second drink.
Oh, I like that.
Fun in the data looks like strong onboarding. Does the player survive the first 3 minutes of your map without getting confused, frustrated, and backing out to the lobby?
So if 1,000 people click my amazing thumbnail, but my tutorial is broken and they all leave in 60 seconds, the algorithm flags my map as a terrible experience.
It severely penalizes your ranking, yes, because they didn't stay. But fun also looks like session length. Are they playing for 30 minutes instead of 5?
Right.
And perhaps most importantly, it looks like social velocity.
Wait, social velocity, you mean the literal rate at which one player hits the invite button and pulls 3 of their friends into your specific server instance?
Exactly. That is the ultimate engagement signal.
Wow.
If a solo player enters your island, decides it is so compelling that they open their social menu and invite a squad, the algorithm registers that as massive platform value. You aren't just retaining one user, you are generating active multiplayer sessions.
Okay, if I'm opening UAM today, my entire philosophy has to change. It's no longer about engineering a clever trick to get people through the door. The game itself is the marketing.
Yes, exactly.
If the algorithm is measuring minute 3, minute 30, and day 2 of the player's journey, what does a developer actually need to do to survive this shift? Let's talk about the practical application of these guidelines.
So the most critical adjustment is focusing entirely on the gameplay loop rather than the packaging.
Right.
We are seeing a real mandate for originality. This isn't just an artistic suggestion anymore. It's a technical requirement for visibility.
Right.
You need unique hooks and memorable progression systems. Relying on whatever map is currently trending is just a guaranteed path to algorithm suppression.
Because if you build a clone, you get caught by the originality filter we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
So if I'm building an original loop, my primary obsession has to be early session pacing. If my map takes 3 minutes just to matchmake, load in, and read a wall of text explaining the rules, the player's already gone.
The bounce rate will bury you before you even get a chance to show them the best parts of your game.
That is brutal.
Long-term player satisfaction beats short-term clicks every single time. You have to streamline your onboarding, ensure the match flow has minimal downtime, and give the player an immediate sense of agency.
Which means we need to reevaluate island branding completely, too.
Absolutely.
Under the old system, you might slap a picture of a trending weapon or a popular skin on your thumbnail, even if it wasn't really central to your game, just to get the click.
Doing that now is actively self-destructive.
Really?
Your promotional assets, the title, the thumbnail, the trailer, must be an honest promise of what the gameplay actually delivers.
Right.
If you create a visual disconnect, the player feels tricked. They leave quickly, your retention score plummets, and your discoverability drops to 0.
It's all connected. Which brings us back to the single genre rule. When it comes time to publish, I can't just pick the category that has the most traffic. I have to pick the genre that perfectly aligns with my target audience.
You have to understand who your game is actually for.
Right.
If you build a highly complex puzzle room and you tag it as a casual party game, hoping to pull in a larger audience, you are feeding your game to the wrong demographic.
They'll just bounce.
Exactly. They won't understand the mechanics, they will leave, and your metrics will suffer. System comprehension is now a core pillar of development.
Wow. So what does this all mean?
It means understanding how Discover categorizes and measures engagement is just as important as writing optimized verse code.
It's a completely different landscape.
Sure.
If we zoom out and look at Epic's overarching goal here, they aren't just tweaking a menu screen to make it look prettier.
No, not at all.
They are actively trying to mature Fortnite into a sustainable creator platform. They want to move away from a high-volume, disposable content feed and build an ecosystem where real studios can run predictable businesses.
The documentation points entirely in that direction.
Yeah.
You can't run a real business in a chaotic marketplace where your intellectual property can be cloned overnight and ad budgets are drained by bot farms.
You just can't.
You see this maturation in the other recent updates as well, like the AI-powered NPC conversations designed to make worlds feel alive, and the new community features for developers to build direct audiences.
Right.
Quality, polish, and innovation are the new baseline because the platform wants to compete with standalone AAA games.
Which leaves me with this final thought to ponder.
Okay.
If we play this out.
Yeah.
If Discover continues down this path and becomes perfectly personalized by the end of 2026, matching every single player to their exact specific niche, like the perfect tactical shooter for the hardcore competitive player, the perfect cozy farming sim for the casual gamer, what happens to the massive monolithic mega hit games, the ones that pull in 10 million concurrent players?
That's a great question. The data points to a fragmentation of the audience.
Really?
Yeah. If the algorithm fundamentally rewards deep, long-term engagement over broad, shallow appeal, the era of the single viral hit might give way to an ecosystem of 1,000 thriving, deeply loyal niches.
Wow. Could the future of Fortnite Creative be less about trying to build one giant map that appeals to everyone, and more about building an incredibly deep, high-retention experience for a hyper-dedicated community of just 10,000 players who log in every single day?
That is the exact model the new Discover system is built to support. It values depth over width.
And that is a fascinating and honestly a much more rewarding landscape to build in.
I agree completely.
But if you want to master that landscape, you cannot build in a vacuum. You need to stay ahead of the curve. Make sure you stay aligned with the latest UEFN and Fortnite creative news by heading over to thecreativeblock.com. We will have the website link right there in the description for you.
The ecosystem is evolving at an unprecedented rate. The developers who understand these mechanical changes today, who optimize for retention and originality, will be the ones defining the platform tomorrow.
The shady digital flea market is officially closed. It's time to build something real. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us, and we'll catch you on the next one.